This entire military is one cohesive, dedicated force. And the threats to our nations, they don't sleep. They're watching our every move. Iran, Russia, China, North Korea, ISIS, Al-Qaeda. They may be watching this right now. Our military should not be mistaken for a cable news gab-fed show. We don't care what you look like. We don't care who you voted for, who you worship, what you worship, who you love. It doesn't matter if your dad left you millions when he died or if you knew who your father was. You have been trained into a machine of lethal moving parts that you would be wise to avoid if you never did. We will not be intimidated. We will not back down. We don't want war. But if you want war with the United States of America, there's one thing I can promise you, so help me God. Someone else will raise your sons and daughters.
Military Broadcast Radio, the station that's giving veterans a voice.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
And do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
Welcome to Man Talk 133 with Charles and Darl, the movement dedicated to empowering men, uniting brothers, and building a strong coalition. This is more than just a conversation. It's a call to action. Join us as we uplift, support, and inspire men worldwide. Because together, we don't just talk, we lead, we grow, and we conquer. Are you ready to be part of the coalition? Let's dive in.
Man Talk 133 with Charles and Darryl. Welcome back, everybody.
Yes, sir. Welcome back. Welcome back. What's up, homeboy? How you feeling, man?
Ain't nothing to it, man. I hope you're having a good week. Had a good week, man. Hope everybody else had a good week as well, man. So we back in the building, dog.
Yes, sir. Made it back one more time.
We back in the building, man. So I know people you're ready to start traveling, you're ready to go on vacations and doing all these good things, dog. And so I was, I wanted to enlighten the people, dog, on some stuff, dog.
Okay, what we got? What we working with today?
The top most dangerous cities in America, dog. Top 5. Man. There's a lot of them.
Top 5.
Yeah, dog. I'm just letting folk know, when you go traveling. I know folk paint a pretty picture, and I ain't saying. Let me say it like this too: every area the places that we talking about ain't bad.
Right. Okay.
We was gonna give you some insight of what to stay away from. You feel?
Okay. Yeah, I got you, bro. I got you.
As the boy say, first of all, let me do this. Let me say this too, dog. Shout out to them Indiana Pacers, dog. I had to show them a little love today, dog.
I know that. I know that's your boys. You know what I'm saying? I know. You said the other day, last week that. Yeah. That's your boys, but hey, I knew, but I knew the guys in the paint was gonna cancel each other out. I didn't get a chance to add that in last week.
Yeah, I'm amazing right now.
Hartenstein and Chet for OKC versus Siakam and Miles Turner for Indiana. That's gonna come down to who decide this series, called SGA and them boys up top, and Halliburton them they kind of cancel each other out.
Kind of sort of, right? That's what I'm saying. Like, you think about it, man, and we're gonna get into the top 5 cities. Okay. But I just want to shout out the homies. You know what I'm saying? To the people. I ain't gonna celebrate too soon because I'm not a OKC fan or Indy fan. It's just everybody then jumped on that bandwagon. Say OKC. So I kind of I'm always I go against the grain, dog. I said let me get in 6. That's what I said. Right. My son said he got OKC in 6. I was like, all right, say we'll see who get it in 6. If they win again, and I think it's tomorrow, if they Indy win again,
Oh yeah, it might be tough. It might be over then though.
It's gonna be tough. You got to go back to Indy and win. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, I wanted to shout them out today. You know, because we talked about it last week. You know what I'm saying? I want to talk about it. So as the boys say, number one on the list.
Who we got? Who was the lucky winner?
Memphis, Tennessee. Memphis, Tennessee is the most dangerous
all day
city in the United States, man. They are like, listen. Okay, let me go over a little bit of this. Memphis, like major cities, has struggled with high crime rates, leading to its reputation for being dangerous. While statistics can be interpreted in various ways and change over time, some factors consistently contribute to the elevated crime rate in Memphis. So some of the key factors in Memphis is one of the top ones is poverty and economic factors. I mean, we talked about this on the show back when you was talking about the poverty, the area that you in. The area in is going to make a difference. High levels of poverty, unemployment, and limited economic opportunities are strongly correlated with the increased crime rates in cities like Memphis. Think about it though, bro. If you ain't educated, you ain't got no money. Who you think they're gonna? What do you think they're gonna do, bro?
And like I said, man, unfortunately, man, you know, it's always us. It's in our neighborhood. You know, it's predominantly us anyway. You know what I'm saying? It got to be told like that. You know what I'm saying? And
you know, and the crazy part about it is when you have the overspill. You know, when things change, I hate to say it like this, when things start to really change and they start to enforce it, when it spill over into other neighborhoods,
right?
When it spill over into the neighborhoods ain't supposed to spill over into, things get changed, man.
Yeah, that's when stuff change, But other than that, as long as if it stay in our hood, it's gonna go the way it is and say, oh, that's just them, that's how they do. We used to them doing that anyway. They gonna kill each other off anyway. Let them continue to do that.
You know, it's a true statement, dog. They say, you know, we ain't got to kill them. They doing a good job at doing it to themselves.
Yeah, and that's true. That's how they view it, man. And you know, and speaking of that, I know you're gonna get on to them cities, but speaking of that, you know, like they have done studies like that.
Yeah.
Like where, you know, like, okay, just say for instance, like some people may beg to differ, but if you switch sides, if you took us out of the hood and gave us everything that we wanted, or we can get everything off, you know, our, you know, skin color, just use like it is, you know, even though they may be just as poor as we are in some cases, but you know, sometimes skin go a long way. And if you flip it and take all the resources from a lot of other races and put them, let's say like they take some races and they switch spots with us in our communities and see how it would pan out. You know, surveys have been done like that. Researches have been done like that with mice.
Yeah.
They put them in the cage with plenty and they can get whatever they want. You know, it's, you know, so, you know, happy-go-lucky community, but when you put them in a cage over here with little to nothing and no resources, they tear each other apart. That's
the fact. That's the truth, though. Yeah. You know, and some sources suggest that about a quarter of Memphis residents live in poverty, contributing to high crime rates, as poverty can breed desperation and frustration. Lack of conflict resolution skills. Some individuals may lack effective resolution skills, leading to personal disputes and escalating into violence and contributing to the homicide rate. You step on, you know, it's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. You step on somebody's shoes, and people have gotten killed. Stepping on somebody's shoes, bro. Like, not even knowing they doing it, but they may do it by mistake and don't say excuse me, sorry, or whatever their rule is. Hey, you ain't gonna get down and wipe that off.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like it can turn into violence, which goes to the next point. The ease of gun access, the accessibility of firearms can contribute to the escalation of violent incidents. People getting shot in traffic. People, bruh, it's on a whole nother level.
Yeah, exactly.
It's on a level like Memphis is you know, you can go to a convenience store getting gas and they air it out. Because in fact, you up there, folks, you can watch videos, you go find any video you want. They'll show you the boys air it out right at the gas station.
That's right.
You're coming out the store, it don't matter. They got beef with you. It's on site, in other words.
That learned behavior, man. You know, like go back to the stepping on the shoes and all that. You know, we got that pin up, built up anger.
Yeah.
You like I say, you know, you just can't get, you trying to go this way, you go to the left, you go to the right, you can't make it either way. Yeah. It's like you know, is built up anger, man. Just like, you know, people won't understand it. A lot of people that don't understand it, they didn't come from that background like that.
Yeah,
not saying that they should kill each other, you know, or whatever, you know, that gives them the green light to kill, you know, spray up everything or whatever. But and then that pin up anger, and then it's like, you know, it's gonna probably continue to go on like that, because, you know, you just think if somebody kill your, you know, like your 2 or 3 year old granddaughter.
Yeah.
And then, you know, the boys gonna ride for that, you know, because that's your grandbaby. See, a lot of neighborhoods, they don't get that. Communities don't get that kind of stuff like per se in our community.
Sure.
So, you know, you got to figure, you know, like some communities act like we don't love our babies like they love their babies.
Just a fact. And that, you know, that's a fact. And
I
don't feel like other races love their kids like they love their kids either. Right. It could be any race outside of their race. If they don't value our kids' lives like they do theirs.
Right.
So I get your point.
Right. So, you know what I'm saying? So if people will start to value other races or other people, kids, the way they value their kids, like, you know, like how you love your dad, mom, and your dad, or your niece or your nephew or your child, it'll be a whole lot better. But see, the way they love their nieces and their child and their granddaughters and stuff like that, you know, children or whatever, when they see ours, they don't love them like that.
Nah, it's crazy.
But we had the same love for ours as they have for theirs. But they don't see our side of it. So when, like you said, you know, so when got and pin up in anger and stuff like that. So in the neighborhood, so when somebody kill your daughter or child, just let's just like take them away like that and shoot them up like that, man, that pin up anger, man, you know, them guys, they going and, you know, it ain't right, but at that moment they going to spray somebody.
And you know what it comes from? It comes from, you know, the one of the points I got up here is weak community structures and leadership.
Exactly.
Some opinions suggest that weakened community structures and challenges with leadership on crime can contribute to the issue. They look the other way. You know, when something happen like that, only time they really, I hate to say it like this, but I gotta say it. The only time they really make a big deal out of it, if you have a white cop kill a black person. Right. And you got black on black stuff popping off all day, every day. And it goes back to what you said, they don't value, you know, they don't value the same. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, if you go in predominantly white neighborhood and you do anything remotely near than what you do in your neighborhood, bro, you done. There ain't no question about it.
And another real quick thing, I don't know how much you got long before you go to break, but another quick thing too is like when you talking about the value of us, like other people don't value us like that. Like they'll value an animal or a dog.
Yep.
They'll value them more than they will value us.
Yeah.
In our community like that, you know what I'm saying? So it is what it is, and it need to be said. I mean, even though some people look at it and gloss over it or whatever, but it's true. It's what it is, you know.
It need to be said, and we're coming up against the break. So after the break, we're gonna give a tourist Beware. We'll be right back after the break, y'all.
It's time for a vacation, and Fairway Travels is here to share great specials for you to choose from. Discover the charm and features of one of Sandals' 16 all-inclusive, luxury included, adults-only resorts, or a family-friendly beaches destination in the Caribbean. Or how about a couples resort in Jamaica? If cruising's your preference, get Thunderstroke aboard Carnival Cruise Lines or set sail on an award-winning Royal Caribbean ship. Join Virgin Voyages now for a wonderful adults-only sailing. It doesn't matter if you choose to travel by plane, train, automobile, cruise ship, or rowboat, we can help you reach your dream destination. Contact Fairway Travels today at 228-365-1012. That's 228-365-1012. Or email bookitnow247@gmail.com. Fairway Travels, where your journeys keep satisfying.
Military Broadcast Radio, the station that's giving veterans a voice.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
Opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent.
Back to Man Talk 133 with Charles and Darrell, and before the break, but we were talking about we still on Memphis. We finna get out of Memphis because I got a whole lot to get to with the.
Go ahead, bro.
I got to make the folk aware, Doc. Tourists, beware, Doc. When y'all go to Memphis, this is what they saying, Doc. Higher than average crime rate. Memphis has a violent crime rate at 19.5 per 1,000 residents, which is higher than the national average. So just in Memphis alone, they kill rate or crime rate, or violent crime rate is higher than the national average. So they're saying, so for tourists, which we know this anyway, they try to have increased police presence. The Memphis Police Department has increased patrols in popular tourist areas. Community programs, initiatives like the Blue Suede Brigade patrol downtown, offering they offer assistance in acting as an extra eyes for law enforcement. A real-time crime center helps monitor and respond to criminal activity.
Let me step in right quick.
Go ahead.
Before you go forward.
Yo,
the only reason why they got that in place because they got to keep it straight for the Memphis Grizzlies.
Yeah, bro.
Listen, because other than that, ain't nobody going to Memphis. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't plan on going to see no Grizzlies game unless it's on TV.
Y'all gonna put this up right now, dog. Listen. And this is something like a lot of people. Okay, let me go to the next part. I'm gonna go to the next one. All right. Tips for tourists to stay safe. Stay in well-lit, busy areas, especially at night. I wouldn't advise being out at night. If you want to do that, we're saying this like every area ain't bad, but what I'm saying is that they number one for a reason, bro. They just jumped to number one. They number one for a reason. Utilize ride sharing services like Uber or Lyft or taxis for longer distances when traveling alone at night. Do not. Okay. I ain't saying don't.
Right.
But what I am saying is that they run, like they get people with these Ubers to run interference to pick up people. Like say, for example, it was a story of this lady. It was a while back, and she was in the back of an Uber. Okay, she going to a destination. She thinks she going, and she like, well, hey, bro, we supposed to get off right there. He act like he don't hear. He's still going.
Right,
and then they pulls up to this gate, like she said, with these big warehouses. They pulled up to this gate. Well, come to find out, she ended up getting away, but come to find out, it was a place where they hold what's them people the sex trafficking thing.
Okay.
Yeah. So Uber, unless you got like a group of people, do not do. When they said traveling alone at night, do not. Women and men don't do it.
And see, one thing about that too, man, with that Memphis, that's so, of course, that's Tennessee. And I don't know like other visiting states, but I know because I'm going another direction real quick. Right. North Carolina, see Tennessee, they honor North Carolina's carry.
Right.
Concealed carry, license, right? Mm-hmm. So if I'm going to Memphis, I'm carrying my stuff with me. So if I'm in the back of an Uber, and I tell you, yo, man, there was my stop right there, and you keep on gonna carry me somewhere else,
you're gonna light
we gonna stop.
Yeah,
and then we answer questions later, like just in case the Uber like, well, he tried to rob me. No, I told you my stop was about 3 blocks back, but you kept going. I don't know where you carrying me.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. So, and so that's what I'm saying. Like so I understand some people don't carry.
Yeah,
like that. So, but I don't go nowhere if I gotta go somewhere where I can't carry. I don't need to be there.
Yeah, I'm trying to tell you, dog. You got to be able to handle that and be mindful of your surroundings and avoid isolated or dimly lit areas. Keep valuables secure and do not and out of sight, both on you and your both on your person and in your vehicle. If I gotta say it, not if you can't protect it, don't wear it.
That's right.
If you cannot protect that,
right?
If you got a nice chain on, you can't protect it. Don't worry, dog. Just unless you like you were just talking about the concealed carry, unless you can protect it like that, dog, don't mess with it. Dog, just leave it at the house, especially going in certain areas, downtown areas. Everybody think downtown areas so safe, and bruh.
That's the worst areas. The worst areas of downtown.
Yeah, and then so these are areas to avoid in Memphis, because we're gonna go to the next contestant, Doc. In general, areas to be cautious to avoid in Memphis include, as we were just saying, downtown, specifically around the Graceland area, Orange Mound, Frazier, Whitehaven, Shelby, and just the other downtown area where people do all the most people come in town, they want to go hang out downtown. Let me let y'all know something. These areas are very dangerous, especially at night. Graceland area, the immediate area around Graceland and its attraction is generally considered unsafe. Orange Mound, this area is known for higher crime rates. I don't care what they try to paint you, Doc. Frazier, this neighborhood is the northern part of the city, is considered one of the most dangerous. Whitehaven, don't these names sound so like they so uppity, like they big neighborhood? They sound good. Whitehaven,
this one of those areas. Go ahead. Well, one of them areas sound like where they got Dolph at. I can't remember. I don't know if it was Whitehaven or Orange Mound. It's one of them areas, but I can't remember though. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong though. But yeah.
This area, was it Whitehaven? This is the southern part of the city. Is also not very safe. Shelby Forest. This area is also listed among the most dangerous. North of Memphis, South Memphis, Southwest Memphis. These areas are considered very, very dangerous, Doc. Guess who number 2 is, dog?
Who is?
Number 2 on the list, St. Louis, Missouri.
Oh, yeah.
Y'all made the list, Doc.
I don't think they too far apart.
Yeah. St. Louis reputation is for being a dangerous city is often tied to its high crime rates, particularly for violent crimes like murder, and its history of racial and economic equality. Inequality. However, it is more important to note while St. Louis has faced these challenges, there are ongoing efforts to try to address them, and crime rates have been declining. That's a good thing. However, they are known for having high crime rate Just keep that in mind. Not just high crime rate,
Yep.
violent crimes, including homicide and others.
Man, you would think St. Louis was, it's pretty chill, man. But in St. Louis, like you said, you got some heavy hitters. Memphis and St. Louis. Hey, St. Louis, now they do something about you out there now.
Quick, and don't even care about doing nothing about you. Because you think about it. I mean, out there, dog, we talked about in the last one, the lack of community leadership. Like, you know what I'm saying? For example, somebody gets shot, it take them, I don't know, bro, 4, 5, 6, 7 years before they find out who the person then done it. And you know how a lot of times they find out the person that did it, they got killed.
Yep.
Then he linked to how many murders that's unsolved. Now he dead. Now you can't hold nobody accountable.
Yep.
It's crazy. And then this is one of the main things too in these cities like this: poverty and lack of opportunity. Poverty is a significant factor in crime rates, and St. Louis has disproportionately high rates of poverty compared to other parts of the region and the nation. And that comes from like historical segregation and racism. Right. St. Louis has a long history of segregation and racial inequality, which continues to impact communities and contribute to crime cycles of crime, bro. Gun violence, all that.
Yep. And you would think there would be on the up and up. Back in the day, of course they still got the St. Louis Cardinals baseball.
Yeah.
But you would think that, they had the Cardinals, and then they had the like the St. Louis Rams before the Rams went back to LA. You know what I'm saying? You would think that they would be on the up and up, as a city, St. Louis, right? Well, that's how we used to look at it. But when you take a deep dive into it, like you're doing now, and like you said, that deep segregation, man. In them cities like that, St. Louis and Memphis and all that stuff like that. Yeah.
It's crazy. And, we talk about the gun violence, youth involvement in criminal activities. A significant number of young people are involved in criminal activities, which contributes to the high crime rates in areas. That's what they know. That's what they taught. They're poverty. They don't know nothing but that.
Yeah. It's just like,
they call it hustling, but it ain't hustling. No.
Yeah. It's just like when we talk about the kids of today are born into technology.
Yeah. For sure.
That's all they know. See, that's all kids know, like in those poverty-stricken areas like that. That's all they know is when they're raised up, they don't know nothing else. That's it. And people hold them, like I said, other communities hold them higher at a higher standard that the kids don't understand, because that's all they know. That's all they came up in.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
But you know what though? There's hope. There's hope. There's hope. They got ongoing efforts to reduce it. They got the crime rate is declining. Some reports reporting a 50% decrease over the past decade. The police department has implemented various initiatives to address crime, including technology-based crime prevention efforts and increase community policing. Now, the policing thing is tricky because if you're not from that neighborhood, it's kind of tough, because you don't know the behaviors of a black person, nor does a black person know the behaviors of a white person. Now, a white person can be aggressive, and that's just how they are. Some of some people they just talk real fast and do, and then black person do that, and if you don't understand a black person,
they're gonna lay them down.
They'll lay them quick.
They'll lay them down. You know what I'm saying? Just for real. Just like the guy the other day. I know we were pushing up against the break. Like the guy the other day. Did you see on news the other day with the guy with Molotov cocktails or whatever? That was throwing the stuff, like, he was out there with him. He was, chopping it up, whatever. They carried him into custody without a problem. But like I said, if it had been us, he would have been laid down because of what you just said. Yeah.
For real though. And then before we go to break, we're gonna come back and talk about their crime rates, but addressing social inequalities. Efforts are underway to address social inequalities and disparities disparities in access to opportunities, education, resources, which can help break the cycles of crime. They need money, y'all. We'll be right back after the break.
That's right.
It's the guts and it's the glory. 100 stripes, 100 stories. It's the Pledge of Allegiance on the 4th of July. It's them handwritten letters from home. It's them sleepless nights alone. It's his newborn baby he left with his wife. Mr. Red, White, and Blue, lay down, hear the line. Mr. Red, White, and Blue, for these stars and stripes. Hey. From the fields of Indiana to the swamps of Louisiana, to the golden coast of California, Uncle Sam's the only family he's got. His purple heartbeat won't stop, and his 18th birthday was the day he was born. Mr. Red, White, and Blue, lay down, hear the light. Mr. Red, White, and Blue, for these stars and stripes. Mr. Red, White, and Blue, stand on the front line. Mr. Red, White, and Blue, pay the ultimate price. He was the man of the house when he was born. His family is proud but torn. But if you knew him, you would understand. He was raised on how to be brave, just to see the flag still wave. And then he came home with only one hand. 'Cause Mr. Red, White, and Blue, lay down, hear the light. Mr. Red, White, and Blue, for these stars and stripes. Red, White, and Blue, stand on these front lines. Red, White, and Blue, he'll pay the ultimate price. Lay down in the light. Mr. Red, White, and Blue, for these stars and stripes. March in line, march in line. Hey. Hey.
Military Broadcast Radio, the station that's giving veterans a voice.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
Opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent.
The Man Talk
Yes, sir.
with Charles and Daryl. So before the break, man, we were just giving a little breakdown of
Right.
some of the efforts they was making. Now we go over the crime rate and go to the places y'all ain't supposed to visit, and then we'll go to number 3. So in 2024, I went with 2024 because 2025 ain't over yet. So I don't know, that crime rate could go higher. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So in 2024, St. Louis crime rate experienced a downward trend, which is great. Overall crime was down 15% year over year, and a 31% compared to 2022. Homicide saw a significant decrease, with 150 reported in 2024, the lowest in 11 years. However, however kind of However, but takes count. Take the first part away.
Is it however?
but doing this, but however, burglaries increased by 3% compared to 2023. The city's homicide clearance rate is currently at 100% and is overall is down 28% the first 3 months of 2025 compared to the same period last year. So some places y'all ain't supposed to go. Areas to avoid: north of Del Mar Boulevard, generally considered as unsafe. County suburbs. Now this is the suburbs. Some areas in North County should be avoided. Dutchtown, while potentially safe during the day, it should be avoided after dark.
That's crazy, man. It's safe during the day, but don't go there at night. Man.
You can't make this up. Tower Grove East, similar to Dutchtown, avoid after dark. Wells Goodfellow is one of the least safest neighborhoods in St. Louis. Old North St. Louis is generally considered less safe. The Ville has a higher crime rate per capita than many other neighborhoods.
Oh, she sound like, she sound like she's straight the Ville. When they call it the Ville,
look out.
Yeah.
Look out, Doc. Hyde Park, one of the least safe neighborhoods. Peabody Durst Webb, another neighborhood with a high crime rate. Hey, y'all lead them. Don't do it. Don't do it. Number 3, Little Rock, Arkansas. Doc.
Come on, really?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I know Arkansas was kind of, they out there or whatever, but I wouldn't have put them in that, everybody got their hoods or whatever.
Yeah.
All over, but I wouldn't have,
Little Rock, Arkansas, number 3, Doc. They made number 3 on the list.
Little Rock will give their business.
Little Rock, Arkansas has a reputation for being dangerous due to its high crime rates, particularly violent and property crime. Several factors contribute to this, including issues with drug-related crime, poverty, and lack of resources. That violent crime they were talking about, bro. They talk about, and this is why you got to. I'm gonna get them some areas too they need to stay out of, because the high crime rate in Little Rock is from violent crimes, including homicide, robbery, and assault. The homicide rate increased significantly in recent years. Like, man, you wouldn't even think about that, right?
Little Rock, like, you know what I'm saying? You be going through Little Rock, Arkansas, thinking like, you got Arkansas, man. It's chill down through here.
Yeah, I'm gonna just pull over real quick, give me a little sandwich.
Well, you say you get down through there and get your weed split.
Pull over, give me a little sandwich real quick.
Man,
there's certain areas that, well, I'm telling you, I know people getting ready to go start traveling and finna go. I'm just letting y'all know, bro. It ain't sweet. There's certain areas, dog. It ain't sweet like y'all think it is. Property crimes like burglary, theft, and motor vehicle theft are prevalent. You stop it. You got a nice whip. Just keep riding through Arkansas, doc. And great.
Yeah, boy. That's gotta be. That's crucial. Yeah. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you stopping at the gas tank, to fill up, and you might get ran down on. So I guess you got to kind of go to whatever upscale area that you may see, or you may, in that area, whatever, you might have to go to some kind of upscale area. Only thing I could say, because if you just stopping at some, not saying a gas station is in the hood or nothing like that, but you know how you can have something that's kind of like it look like it's hood, but it might not be like it's hood.
Got the elements.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. So you think you might, I can pull in here and I can
real quick, real quick and
skate on up out of here, right? You know what I'm saying. But
don't test it.
Like that's wild, man. Like you at the
not
gas station,
test it.
Ran up on.
Yeah. Motor vehicle theft. You be, and I'm willing to bet that's probably, you know, carjackings and all kind of stuff that's tied in that when you said motor vehicle theft. Drug related crimes. Little Rock is a hub for drug trafficking, particularly meth, opioids, which fuels violence. People can't get it, they acting out. Poverty and lack. You notice in all these neighborhoods is one key thing that's sticking out, Doc.
It was that dog.
Poverty.
Yep.
At poverty piece, man, and lack of opportunity.
That's what I'm saying. They push them all the way into a corner.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, this desperation time. This is it, you know, you can't get no, like, you know, you can't get no job over here. You can't get no proper education over here. You can't get no proper food or nothing over here. You know, it's just, you know, and you know, like I said, you know, you just gotta wait. You just always gotta wait on your shoulder.
That's
in the neighborhoods like that, man. You really don't get now equal fair share. And a lot of people don't understand it because they never been in that predicament like that.
Yeah. That right there, dog. When you wake up in the morning and you got 3 miles looking at you, you got to figure out how you gonna feed all these jokers and yourself. You know what I'm saying? And then, you know, you talk about the lack of resources, you know, lack of education, social services, mental health support can, you know, could even increase the problems, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And, in situations like that, what you just named, see the mental health aspect in communities like, you know, like communities like where we came from and all this stuff like that. And with the communities that we're talking about, the mental health aspect of it, that's the least of it.
Yeah.
That's at the back of the line. Don't nobody talk about that. You know, we don't worry about mental health. We trying to get some resources, get some food, whether it's, you know, you go down there and you get that box of food with some cheese in it and some cereal or whatever, powdered milk or whatever. See, a lot of people ain't never
had that with that farina.
Yeah. See, they ain't never had to, you know, a lot of people ain't never really had to never go through that.
Yeah.
So they looking at people like, you know, like, hey man, whatever, you know what I'm saying? You know, like the people that have never been through, had to deal with that. And then they don't understand the people that do have to go through that.
Right.
So as long as they can get that box of food from social services and stuff like that or whatever, see the mental health aspect that you just named, that's on the back burner. That's why they ain't talked about it in our community like that, cause that's the least of our word. Don't nobody even talk about mental health in our community about that. Because they trying to scratch and get food or see, man, I got to try to get this next job, man. I heard they paying $15 an hour. You know, there's $15 an hour. I was getting 10. I'm trying to get this job. You know, when other people been used to making $20 and $25 an hour for years.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
I'm telling you,
those situations.
I'm telling you, and let me see where we are. We got about a minute or so before we come up to the next break. But so I'm gonna run through some of this real quick. Homicides, black men, we gotta do better, dog. A significant number of homicide suspects are black males under 35. Gang activity. Some sources suggest that gang violence is a factor in the high crime rate. They bullying people, dog. Yeah, they're trying, you know, safety precautions. And listen, understand they try to put safety precautions in, but think about this from this aspect. If you putting safety precautions in and the crime rate then went up,
right?
How good is the safety precautions you putting in?
Exactly.
Think about that. If it's going up,
right?
The safety precautions, bro, is like I hear what they saying, like staying well lit areas, you know, BOA your surroundings. I mean, you supposed to do that. I don't care where you at, what neighborhood you in, because folk gonna drive through a good neighborhood, spray it up and keep pushing.
Yep. That's right.
But if the crime is still going up, I'm just trying to figure out what y'all got going on. They got community programs to try to reduce it, try to reduce the crime rate. You know, but we come back out of this break though, I got to go through
the last two.
I'm gonna go through the crime rate.
Okay.
And where we at right now? What's that we at?
Little
Rock. I'm gonna give you the crime rate on Little Rock, and then we're gonna knock it out from there. We'll be right back after the break, y'all.
It's time for a Vacation and Fairway Travels is here to share great specials for you to choose from. Discover the charm and features of one of Sandals' 16 all-inclusive, luxury included, adults-only resorts. Or a family-friendly beaches destination in the Caribbean. Or how about a couples resort in Jamaica? If cruising's your preference, get Thunderstroke aboard Carnival Cruise Lines or set sail on an award-winning Royal Caribbean ship. Join Virgin Voyages now for a wonderful adults-only sailing. It doesn't matter if you choose to travel by plane, train, automobile, cruise ship, or rowboat, we can help you reach your dream destination. Contact Fairway Travels today at 228-365-1012. That's 228-365-1012. Or email bookitnow247@gmail.com. Fairway Travels, where your journeys keep satisfying.
Military Broadcast Radio, the station that's giving veterans a voice.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
Opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent.
Welcome back to Man Talk 133 with Charlotte and Daryl. Hey, y'all check out Red. Tell him Man Talk 133 sent you.
Yes, sir. That's right. Shout out Red.
Yeah, shout out to Fairway Travel. You see what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
All right, so the crime rate won't run through this because I got two more contestants I got to get to in 15 minutes. So
we got it.
Yeah, Little Rock, the crime rate in 2024 decreased. They experienced a decline overall with a notable 42% decrease in the homicide rate compared to 2023, which is awesome. Homicides, Little Rock recorded 37 homicides in 2024, a significant decrease from 64 in 2023, represent a 42% reduction. Beyond homicides, the city saw 190 rapes. That's why y'all don't need to be out at night. 438 robberies and 2,764 aggravated assault cases, totaling 3,429 violent crimes in 2024. Property crime, dog, the property crime with 8,801 property crimes reported in 2024. The property rate crime, Little Rock property has a property crime rate of 52.22 per 1,000 residents, which is higher than the state average. Our national, just in their state alone, right. You know what I mean? And so let me go to the places y'all ain't supposed to go. All right, here go more detail. Look where y'all ain't supposed to be at. South Little Rock. This area is particularly south of I-630. Is mentioned as having a higher risk of crime, including property and violent crimes. East Little Rock. This area east of 130, including East Little Rock and East Roosevelt, is also flagged as a higher risk area.
You put them together, southeast, like southeast DC.
There you go. You know how southeast DC is too, Doc.
Yeah.
Terrible.
Yeah.
Specific neighborhoods, town and country, Pinedale, Oak Forest, and Briarwood are cited as neighborhoods with higher likelihood of victims of violent and property crime and property crimes. High risk areas, Doc. Persian, Pike, Division, and Levy is also mentioned as areas to avoid.
Wow.
All these areas sound good though, but
yeah, those names right there. I be on roll right up in there. What you said, Pike? What you said, Levy?
Yeah, you know,
roll on the Levy. Let me roll on the Levy real quick. It sounds like it's all right over there.
And then buildings start looking. Hold on, bro.
911.
You know how they do, bro. How they take these hotels and stuff, man, and then they change the names of our old building. They rebrand them, and then before we like, man, we're gonna stay at the, let's say the one of the Hyatt or something like that. And you think it's the Hyatt got to be in a good area,
right?
I'm gonna tell you, for example, right up here in Raleigh, off of New Bern Avenue, and the people know where I'm talking about.
Oh,
you
man,
go over there, right there by the hospital.
Yeah, bro. Bro, right there by Traywick.
Yeah, a little rough in that area, Doc. But when they rent it and they show the pictures, when they, people go and they were like, you know what, hey man, I'm tired. They come, gotta come off the highway, and it's right down the highway, but bro, they don't know. Yeah.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, they don't know, bro. There's some stuff that go on over there. Number 4, Doc. Minneapolis.
Come on, man. Not Minneapolis, bro. Man.
I told you it's gonna be some stuff up in, Doc, you won't gonna believe.
Not the home of Prince and the Revolution.
Yeah, Doc. Can't lie. Prince and the Revolution, Doc. Purple Rain and all them. Adore, all that.
Well, I mean, they did have a situation with Floyd and them up there, but I'm just saying, like maybe an isolated incident or something, maybe, but
no, not based on this, Doc. It ain't isolated. I'm about to give you some facts. It just won't help, Doc. That's a fact. Ain't lying. So you got so we have Minneapolis has been has seen a notable increase in certain types of particularly violent crimes, which are contributing to its reputation as a potentially dangerous city. Factors like police community actions, pandemic recovery struggles, and other crime rates exceeding state and national averages contributing to this perception. For example, increased violent crimes. Minneapolis has experienced a rise in violent crimes, and particularly in the years following George Floyd protests. You just talked about them.
Right.
I mean, the police is trying to get involved. The murder of George Floyd and subsequent protests have created tensions between the police department and communities they serve. And that's what we were talking about earlier. If you're going to be in that area, bro, just serve your area, like put the people that's from their community. And I know they feel like, well, hey, if we do this, then they're gonna let them get away with stuff. Not really. You know what I'm saying? They're gonna do their job, but you can't send somebody in there like the guy that did George Floyd and think you ain't gonna have no backlash.
Yeah, real quick, because I know you got to keep moving, but you can't send people in there, man, that's gonna act like they're overseers.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Yeah.
Yep. If you do that, you're gonna have some problems. Crime, Minneapolis violent and property crime rates are higher than the state and national averages, exceeding both.
Wow, man.
You see what I'm saying? The crime rates in Minneapolis, homicides in 2024, Minneapolis saw 76 homicides and an increase from 72 in 2023. Violent crimes, where violent crimes overall decreased in early 2025. It remains above the state and national average. That lets you know how bad they really were.
Right.
Or are. Like property crime, the crime rate exceeded the national rate for the first time in 3 decades. Declines in 2025, they see in the first part of 2025. That's why I didn't do the whole 2025, because we don't got an accurate. You could go good the first. It's like basketball, Doc. You can go good the first 3 quarters and fall apart in the fourth.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? This
like
is what it is.
Yeah.
Just like last night. Shout out to Indy, Doc. Glad y'all ain't make the list.
Right.
I ain't lying. In early 2025, saw a significant decrease in violent crime, including a 47% drop in robberies, 40% decrease in carjackings, and a 32% fewer in shooting victims. So juvenile violence, that's the main ones that's kind of causing all the hoopla, the young people. Areas not to visit, Doc. Tourists beware. You know what I'm saying? North Side, known for higher crime rates and potentially safety concerns. Midtown Phillips, East Phillips, these areas have higher crime rates.
Right.
Apartment, this is crazy. Apartments along freeways. What?
Man, that's good. Yeah, that's good. It's real crazy. Apartments among freeways.
Along freeways.
Along freeways.
Yeah, some buildings in these areas may have higher crime rates. That absolutely crazy, Doc. I ain't lying. So, Doc, number 5 on our list, Doc.
What we got?
Detroit, Michigan, Doc.
No doubt. I knew Detroit. I was like, yeah, it was that either New Orleans.
The dirty D is up here, Doc. Detroit has a reputation for being dangerous due to high crime rates, particularly violent crimes, including homicide. This is a partly due to historic economic downturn, where we're talking about basically poverty, job losses, the resulting
that manufacturing
hardship.
That manufacturing killed them.
Yeah, no, it hurt them bad, man. And the high crime rates, Detroit consistently ranks among the cities with the highest violent crime rates in the United States, including murder. That dog. Economic challenges, decades of economic decline when GM and all them folk, General Motors, all that stuff.
Right.
In some places, man, I know some guys is from Detroit. You can go buy a house up there for $500. You know what I'm saying? $500 for a house. Man, you know what I'm saying? And you get the title for it. Some people go then buy whole blocks. Where they can have it, because I don't really.
Yeah, man. Like that's tough, man. Cause like I said, you got to look at that area. Like you said, them landmarks.
Yeah, dog. Hey, it's kind of tough. The historical context: the city has faced significant challenges, including population decline, foreclosures, and the Great Recession, which have further exacerbated economic and social issues. The reputation and perceptions, even with recent declines in the same crime categories, the city's reputation for being dangerous persists due to the long history of crime. Bro, ain't nobody going to Detroit. I don't got y'all try to put it ain't happening, cool.
They trying to work on that. I think they're trying to fix up the downtown district or something like that. But
yeah, I'm good, Doc. I'm good.
You got to have that. You got to have that paper. You got to have that real paper to be on it in the downtown district.
I'm gonna tell you, you better be able to stay in the downtown district, because you go out of downtown district, somebody in trouble. They telling you right here. Other factors: poverty, lack of opportunity, and systemic issues like inadequate resources for education and social services also play a role in contributing to dangerous environment. And why is the crime rate so high? Dude, every one of these that we read, poverty.
Yep.
Poverty, dude. Poverty is.
You got to do something about it. I don't know if it's by design or what, but I'll let you. Since we push for time, I'll let you finish it off. You know what I'm saying? But
yeah, that could poverty and unemployment, man. This creates desperation and a sense of hopelessness, potentially leading to criminal activity. They're gonna try to creep over in them neighborhoods where you just that district you was talking about. Yeah. They're gonna try to do that, and that's where you go there and you're gonna get nabbed. That it's gonna be not good for you. The years of poor city management, high taxes, and large-scale projects that ultimately failed, contributing to the city's financial woes and the decline of its economy. Poor leadership, gang activity, the racial dynamics. I'm gonna get these folks some areas y'all better stay out of, Doc. I'm telling you, because we about to be out of time. Pole Town East. The I, Fitzgerald, Franklin Park, Warrendale, and Fisk Corn.
Now, real quick, they all sound like they thuggish.
They sound like, yeah.
It's
the whole
Gerald
sound like
it's Gerald at the gate. Like, yo, I ain't going over there, dog.
Hey, the eye. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
The eye, dog. Hey, thank y'all for joining.
Yeah.
Man Talk 133 with Charles and Daryl. At the next time, God bless.
That's right.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to Military Broadcast Radio. As we wrap up today's show, we want to remind you that the podcast of today's episode will be available right after we go off the air. So if you missed any part of the show or want to listen again, be sure to check it out. And remember, we're here to support and honor our veterans. Your stories and experiences matter, and we are committed to giving you a platform to share them. That's right. We're here to give our veterans a voice. So don't forget to catch the podcast and stay connected with us. Giving our veterans a voice.